Welcome back to the Alphabet of Healing. I'm Julia, a German member of the Verbum Day here in the Bay Area of San Francisco. On a journey to Arizona, I learned about the Tohono O'odham people and nation, who seem to be one of the tribes coming from the ancient Hohokam culture. Specifically, a sacred symbol that is called the man in the maze, the Itoi. Some of the aspects of the maze were surprising for me. It is a unicursal maze, which surprised me since a maze is generally multicursal, meaning it has more than one path. According to the mythos, the maze was built by a bad king creator to hide from pursuing enemies, and its original location is in a cave under a mountain called Babokivari Peak. However, in the culture of the O'odham people, the image of the man in the maze, the Itoi, has become a way of understanding life itself, rather than clinging only to the mythological story of its origin. That was when I became really interested in it, because what the woman at the National Park Center explained resonated so much with me about the journey of healing. She explains that the O'odham people see it as their sacred symbol of life. Sometimes the maze of our healing journey, as the O'odham maze in the mountain, has quite an ambiguous beginning, since we heal from something that either has pained our body, mind or soul, or that has pained us as a people. However, now we are on top of the maze, or at the entrance of the maze, like the Itoi, and are invited to walk into it. It is our life right ahead of us. The most foundational lesson it teaches us, in this moment we set out, and then over and over again, is that we are not in control. It's not a straight path, and we did not design it. We don't know where we are when we begin walking. We generally can't calculate how long it will take to walk, and we can be quite wrong by trying to calculate how close we are from the center. Upon entering the maze, one almost immediately comes close to the center, but how mistaken it is to believe it was so easy to reach the center that quickly. Rather, it leads us outward and twists us towards more complicated patterns. There's a dream, as the young woman in the center said, a dream that pulls us to the center. But there are many twists and turns of sadness and of joy we need to pass. She said, there's only one way you can protect yourself from those twists and turns, and that means not walking the maze at all, and by that to decide not to live at all. In a certain sense, for me, that summarizes our journey to overcome injustices, racism, ecological destruction. The only way not to suffer setbacks in the journey of change and to walk towards a dream of an alternative way of living as a humanity is not to set out at all. However, I think that is only an option if one hasn't been touched by the dream as a sacred goal of our life. Not to walk, not to try, is not really an alternative as long as I hold the dream for sacred. As long as I believe that being whole is my destiny as a person and as a society, that my pain is not to be repressed or ignored, but sets me off on a journey I am invited to take part in. Often, though, the road itself seems too long. Sometimes we can't even see the goal and perhaps even lose the certainty that there is a goal and perhaps even lose the desire to reach it. Although, as long as we breathe, we live it. It doesn't mean actually that we decide to live to our maximum potential. Penelope Reed Dube said once that especially in walking the unicursal maze or labyrinth, people get frustrated and upset at the maker of the labyrinth if they don't advance in the way they would like to advance. I was pondering her insight and wonder if that is the reason why we are so quick to blame circumstances for our setbacks instead of owning our shortcomings. I'm thinking of the Exodus story as perhaps the most explicit maze in the Bible. How often was each setback blamed on circumstances, on things that either Moses did or not did. So as a young woman at the National Park Center was sharing with me about the sacred Adam symbol, you hit a corner, you fall, something harsh happens, there's a setback. But you don't give up. You gather yourself, pick yourself up, and move forward. Sometimes you think again you are so close. You nearly seem to have reached the center again, only to figure out that there's another curve, and still such a long journey left. Somehow I think that happened to us in this century, believing that we are such a civilized, racially aware, and politically correct people belonging to the peak of Western civilization, only to realize that we just reached the very outer circle of the maze, and having to wind ourselves long and slowly to the center that seemed so close in the middle part of the last century. We will experience many setbacks, but trying to avoid them would only be possible by selling the dream that lies in the center. And in one's own journey of healing after surgery or the loss of a loved one, or as a cancer survivor or chronically ill person, so often we fall and need the courage to pick ourselves up, knowing this is not the last word spoken. Every time a new side effect bogs us down, every time the blood test comes back not as it should be, or the loss of the one we loved overcomes us again, it makes us stop, sometimes even fall, frustrated and depressed. But the next corner comes and invites us to continue to grow and learn. And for sure joy will be crossing our way as well, even though it doesn't seem that way at the moment. By walking the maze, the immediate is often put in perception of the dream and dreaming again. Joy returns because in the end, it's not a race we run. It is a life we unfold, every petal carefully and beautifully, every ring of water that expands further around us, every breath we let go and let come. The path of the maze, that is in us. The young woman told me that there are as many stories about the meaning of the maze as there are family in the Tohono O'odham nation. So as a guest, I added mine. I made the journey of the Itoi mine and shared it with you. I learned from the description of the man in the maze by the O'odham people for this alphabet of healing. A long and windy road in 7 layers, the number of plenitude. It is good that Itoi means bigger brother. He can help along the way. He knows that maze. He has walked that maze and its corners and twists. And as I am preparing for Christmas, the birth of our always older brother Jesus, I will ask him in the maze of my personal life and in the maze of this society. Have compassion on us. Be with us in our twisting and turning, so we don't give up on the dream of wholeness.